Hey guys, it's Welps. There was a new KR dev video going over the new content for the next week's patch, basically the Korean version of Tico Talks, but they shared more information. They showed some of the T3 gears, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. Alright, so these are the loot from the new 4-star dungeons, and the first one we see is the Greatsword. The skill of this Greatsword says, on heavy attack, you have 80% chance to apply silence for 5 seconds. With 15-second cooldown. That is freaking insane. This is obviously for PvP, and it's gonna be used by the non-dagger GS build for like SNSGS, GS Spear. 5-second silence, I think is way too long. With the 15-second cooldown, that's way too short. Healer's gonna have hard time. And at the same time, we're getting a new magic weapon, the Orb. But yeah, I think this is mostly to counter healers. The healer's gonna get even stronger in T3. They're gonna be unkillable. So I think they added more silence. The base stat is gonna be 5 perception, 5 strength, 20 hit, and attack speed. Next is crossbow. It's got 16.8 meter range, 20% offhand proc chance. And the skill for this is if the target you attacked dies within 10 seconds, you get 25 stacks of this soul. And every projectile you fire when you have the stack, it'll consume 1 stack and fire additional projectile that does 98% of your base damage. This also sounds really strong. I mean, crossover daggers in PvP, they just delete targets. It's gonna be pretty easy to get those stacks. So you're basically potentially getting 2500% extra damage on your next 25 projectiles. Base stat is gonna be 5 dex, 4 wisdom, CDR, and attack speed. Next one is a wand. It's a 15 meter range wand. And for this skill, I don't fully quite understand. It says when you apply Touch of Despair on the target, you have 80% chance to get this 2-second buff. What this buff does is that your healing skills, instead of healing, it does 200% of the damage, like for 2 seconds. I'm not sure how that's gonna work. The cooldown is 10 seconds. So I would imagine that your healing skill just turns into damage skill, and then you can just click on an enemy target and use your heal. I don't know how this works. When you use a healing skill, but for you to use a healing skill, it has to be on your friendly target. Anyway, when you use a healing skill, instead of healing, it does 200% of the base damage. It's got 5 dex, 4 wisdom, attack speed, and mana cost efficiency. Next, we have daggers. It's only got 20% offhand proc chance. For the skill, when you use your vampiric strike, you have 70% chance to do 400% of your base damage as a fixed damage. Not quite sure what that means. I don't know if they mean that it's going to be like a true damage where you always do the 400% damage without any mitigation, or like it cannot crit or heavy attack. I'm not sure what this means exactly. We'll have to see it in the game. Sounds pretty strong, but I'm not sure. Vampiric Strike, I believe, has low cooldown, and also with the spec you can attack twice, which means you have very high chance of proccing this additional 400% damage. It's got 5 dex, 4 wisdom, CDR, and hit. Next, they show one of the armor set. It's got dex, perception, CDR, and hit. For the 2-set bonus, it's 7% attack speed increase and 7% CDR increase. And for the 4-set, it increases bonus damage by 20. And whenever you land an attack, you have 15% chance to get additional 7 bonus damage for 3 seconds. That stacks up to 5 times. So another 35. So 55 total. So this is pretty much made for crossbows. But what's interesting is that this is a plate. That means they're able to stack melee evasion while getting all these damage bonuses. Usually DPS set is leather, but this one is plate. Next set we have is an evasion set. So for 2-set bonus, you get 150 evasion. And every time you get hit, you have 20% chance to increase your evasion by 50 for 2 seconds, up to 4 stacks. So another 200. So during combat, you're pretty much gonna have 350 evasion. And for the 4-set, within 5 meters, you're going to be reducing enemies' endurance by 150. Up to 6 players. And after you use a mobility skill for 1 second, your evasion increases by 6 fucking hundred. What the fuck? And the cooldown is 10 seconds. Okay, so potentially you get 350 from 2 set and another 600 from 4 set. You can have up to 950 evasion. Alright? And it's all evasion, by the way. And it's a leather piece, so you're gonna have range magic traits. Alright, here we have the new tier 3 Mordecai Greatsword. So basically the reworked tier 1 bosses are gonna drop tier 3 items. And it seems like they give out the same named item. Just the same name, but treat it as a complete new item. This one got Dex, Wisdom, Hit, and CDR. And it also has new skill, and it looks insane. So when you hit your stun or shock, you have 50% chance to do 600% of your base damage. Now that almost sounds like a Tevent, the Tevent GS. And within 10 meters of the target, it'll transfer to a different enemy 2 times. And every time it transfers, the damage increases by 50%. Okay, so basically you stun this guy, and then you proc this, you do 600% damage to them. It'll transfer to the next guy doing 650%. And then it'll transfer one more time doing 700%. We'll have to see it in game, of course, but this sounds like it's almost at a level of upgraded Tevent GS or better. Like the AoE potential of this is better than Tevent, I reckon, because it's enemies within 10 meters and it's a direct hit. Tevent GS just creates another outer circle, but if you walk out of that zone, you don't get hit by it. But this one is just a direct transfer, so if you hit this guy, and some guy's over here in like 9 meters, you do 650% damage on this guy. And then it'll bounce another target for 700. If there's no other target, it may bounce back. And if the damage increase happens to be multiplicative, which I doubt because it's too much, it's going to be 600, 900, and 1350. That's too much. Also, keep in mind that your tier 1 arc boss is going to get buffed around October when they introduce the Frenzy, Deluz Noah, and Cody. You know, when you can upgrade your tier 2 arc boss weapons, the tier 1 arc boss will be buffed. But anyways, that's all the info we have now for tier 3 gear that was shown in this video. Pretty crazy stuff. I actually cannot wait to see the rest of the gear and start making builds. Anyways, GG's, peace.